Going over to the Cultural Report podcast, yeah, Matt Walsh going viral on the policy of the United States removing the commitment to treat HIV in other countries. That was brought to us thanks to X, specifically Matt's blog. Now he's reacting to PBS News. Now PBS News says, quote, the $4 billion, geez, so much money, $4 billion that the United States had pledged to the global HIV response for 2025 disappeared virtually overnight in January when U.S. President Donald Trump ordered all foreign aid to be suspended and later moved to shutter the USAID agency. Oh no. Matt Walsh responded. Now he says, quote, why should American families be forced to spend one dime treating STDs in 4 countries? Please explain why a family in Ohio should be obligated to provide an HIV treatment to a gay man in Uganda. I'd love for someone to explain this, unquote. Gained 2.5 million views as well as 47,000 likes. Oh, I thought I could be the one to get to 48,000 likes, but nevertheless, I did like that. Now, yeah, with how much the government steals from us from income tax, property tax, gasoline tax, telecommunications tax, capital gains tax, inheritance tax, what is this? We have gasoline tax. That's just firing off the top of my head really quick. All the ways they tax us, left and right and center. And how much of that money actually goes to us. I find it pretty abhorrent that so much of our money is stolen from us and goes to countries that we don't even have trade relationships with. And it just doesn't benefit the average American in any way. Now, one could argue Democrats are importing so many Ugandans to the United States, it could have a direct impact on us. They shouldn't be doing that, but I mean, I can understand. I don't think that's why they're doing it, I don't think that's why people are saying we need to support these countries by billions of trillions of dollars. But I mean, maybe that's why Democrats rationalize, be like, whoa, we're importing them anyway. But yeah, that's $4 billion. Why should our taxpayers pay for that? Why can't those countries take care of themselves? The United States seems to be one of the only countries on the planet that seems to take all the taxpayer dollars from their citizens and give it to other countries that most Americans can't even point to on a map, partially because of the Department of Education, but also countries that have no strategic advantage to us, no business relations with us, in many cases, not even the same core values of us. I'm flabbergasted and annoyed by how much money is stolen from us every paycheck, and we still have so many issues that we should be fixing here first. And again, I mean, Trump's doing a lot of good things. Some things I don't like, obviously, like most politicians. And I'm glad he actually canceled this. Maybe someday we'll get our money back in terms of government stealing less from us. He said he was going to try to get rid of the income tax. I hope he does. That'd be the most revolutionary thing to happen in politics in decades. I'm not holding my breath. But yeah, I think Matt hit the nail on the head with his assessment. Because again, people are being stretched thin as is. Well, how does that help us? You could argue, oh yeah, it helps with the world in terms of decreasing STDs and this, transmission disease. It's also an instance where there's a near 100% way not to get these diseases and STDs. Cross your legs. There's a rare instance back in the day before they properly tested blood where you can get it via a blood transfusion. That was a real risk back in the day. But thanks to proper testing, that doesn't happen hardly at all now. Now, going to the main comments, we'll see how many people or if he was ratioed. One of the first comments comes to us thanks to Based Electrician, who A+ for marketing, know exactly what he does for a living. He is, in fact, an electrician who is based. Although, I wish he put can't really buy his services because he's not really advertising his business. But nevertheless, the Based Electrician says, quote, the gay man in Uganda will probably end up in the mayor of New York City, 65 likes, which, yeah, I'm importing a lot of them. Now, you also have a contrarian statement by the name of course, it's a gal, Ariaka Bloss, as we've seen. Oh, she's cool. She follows me. But again, I like to follow as many contrarian comments because life gets boring as hell when you're in an echo chamber. So we want to try to get as many views as possible or perspectives more accurately. Now, she says, quote, because HIV is a pandemic, which spreads, getting 78 likes, which it spreads, but mostly because of choices people make. Well, she ratioed. Now, Jerry Gray, alligator emoji, must be from Florida. Now, he says, quote, if only there was a way to avoid getting HIV, getting 68 likes. He almost ratioed her. He's so close. Now, she said, it's funny you should mention that Republicans cut funding for reproductive health, aka killing kids, condoms, and testing education in those countries because Christianity. Well, it's those other countries. Why is that our problem? Again, these countries aren't even, they don't even do business with us. Like, I can even if I don't agree with it, I can understand the argument of, hey, the United States, we work with another country. They spend billions of dollars buying our defense armaments, our technology, our software, and we're gonna give them, they give us billions by buying our products and services. We're gonna give them a couple $100 million in aid. I could understand that. I still think they could probably do it on their own, but again, it's not us. Now, Sandy May says, quote, nope, HIV is not a pandemic. It's easily preventable. Getting 19 likes. Let's see. I am a horse thief. Committing a crime, I see. Maybe I should say this is alleged, Mr. I'm a horse thief. Hashtag Tony Cartman1 says, it spreads because of choices people make. The U.S. has been teaching people that they need to not be responsible for the outcomes of their choices. Getting 20 likes. Gil Mianos says, quote, my advice is to not have sex with Africans. Getting 18 likes. So by number of comments, she was ratioed, but not by the actual likes. So I think that's the rules of the X or the Twitter says she was technically not ratioed. You also have, going back to the main comment section, you have Alpine Lakes. It says, quote, how does it spread? It seems like there's only a few statistically relevant population it spreads through, getting 11 likes, which, I mean, that's technically true, though I think with more and more, in 2025, there's so many, I'd say there's a more and more higher propensity of people having relations between races. Maybe without time, that might eventually equalize altogether. But right now, yes, it is higher in African American on that metric. Going back to the main comment section again. See, yeah. Overall, just ratioing her. Now again, sorry, going back to the main comment section. Paul Zupa says, quote, it's wokeness, no further explanation required, getting 39 likes. Wow, this one got 867 likes. Brett Zettler, now he says, quote, epidemics will overflow until they threaten our interests or of those of our allies. Besides which, if we have the know-how, why not help the world? If we have inexpensive technology to produce food, why not give it away freely? This guy doesn't understand communism has never worked. They got 867 likes, though. It's one of the most popular responses. Matt Walsh responded, saying, quote, is extremely, extremely easy to avoid getting HIV. No reason for a normal person in a first world country to spend a second worrying about it. Now, Matt got 2,000 likes. He, as you might say, ratio Mr. Bill Zettler. Now, in terms of, he says, we have inexpensive tech to produce food. Most countries do have an advantage, and they use it to their, they use it so they can trade with other countries and make a profit. A good example would be like the Middle East. It's mostly sand, though I'm sure it's fun to visit. They don't produce a lot of food there. They can't charge a premium because they really don't have the production capacity. What they do have the capacity is to make unfathomable amounts of oil. They can produce that and refine it quite efficiently. So they have an advantage over other countries that don't have the natural resources or infrastructure to process their type of oil. So, Saudi Arabia has a huge advantage. They can sell oil for a premium. Thankfully, we were starting to drill in the United States, so we're getting the increase in it as well. But we, globally speaking, have a great advantage when it comes to food production. We sell it to other countries, and we make a profit. Hopefully. I can't think with technically we don't because we have more and more of a deficit every single year, but we should make a profit. Steve, Irish Flag, says, quote, I know this isn't something conservatives want to hear, but sometimes having pennies of your tax dollars going to help potentially save millions of lives overseas, it's just the right thing to do. Not everything has to do with direct ROI for America. Get 898 likes. If you're a nonprofit, yes. Again, I try not to use religion as an argument because most people in the United States, you see the number of people agreeing or attending church is dropping dramatically. I can understand, and I am of the faith. I do understand the Christian desire to help other people with your own money, not stealing it from people and then doing it. These are tax dollars. If a church or a nonprofit in the United States wants to raise money voluntarily by people giving them donations, and they want to help overseas, I'd say they should probably help us here first because we still have problems, but I see no issue with that. Again, this is money that is stolen from us with tax dollars and then given to people across the globe that don't directly benefit us. I understand having a philanthropic desire. And again, there's nonprofits for a reason. There are churches that have many similar missions. But again, these are tax dollars that are stolen from us. Now, I wonder if Steve was ratioed. Going to the comment section. Let's see. Billy responded saying, quote, you're not comprehending how much the U.S. national debt is. It's crisis level. The U.S. national debt is $106,000 per American. The Ugandan national debt is $550 per Ugandan. Yeah. And again, the U.S. is $37 trillion in debt because of ineptitudes and or corruption of Democrats and Republicans. So of all the times we need to, stop spending money on countries that don't really help us, I'd say, again, from the United States perspective, it'd be now. Again, nonprofit, yeah, I understand. Atticus Fitch says, quote, because eradicating AIDS is a noble pursuit, and America once pursued noble things simply for the sake of virtue of them. Getting 819 likes and 88 responses. Let's see. Got respondents say, quote, Walsh said to explain why anyone has an obligation to do that, you haven't gained 2 likes. And Atticus Fitch responded, say, quote, I guess you don't consider it moral good to be an obligation. I disagree, in 3 likes. Let's see. TB says, right until we discovered that all the quote-unquote noble causes were just a front for stealing our money. I wish we could donate to a noble cause as well, but that's simply not all the reality we live in. Getting 77 likes. Atticus Fitch responds saying, global AIDS have reduced dramatically since the U.S. began its efforts, getting 28 likes. Which again, why is the U.S. In terms of production, or not manufacturing, well, in terms of software production, research development, innovation, and some manufacturing, the U.S. is, again, very rich, but fiscally speaking, we're, again, $37 trillion in debt. And these other countries, fiscally speaking, have been a sunk cost fallacy for decades upon decades upon decades. Even when I was a kid, we were helping out these countries, and, I mean, I'm not an old man, but I've got more gray hairs now than ever before. I understand it's a Christian thing to do, but I don't think it's not sustainable, obviously. We keep losing money every single year. The White Rooster, interesting profile name, says, quote, because it's all the fake programs they use to funnel that money into each the other's pockets, and we vote them in for it. Getting 504 likes, which, yeah, that's not a good point. Of every, can't but think, but every $10 the U.S. takes from us to put into like USAID, $1 makes it to an actual good cause. Again, I'm sure they did some good, but it's such a money laundering piece of crap. David Santa Clara says, quote, do we really need to keep IQ? Well, this is pretty dark. He says, though, do we really need to keep 70 IQ men who can't stop having infidelity, but having infinity, but relations alive? Getting 509 likes. A little dark there. That wasn't a pun, but I can see how it would be interpreted as such. The conservative alternative also says, quote, our tax dollars are supposed to fund our government, not every government in the world. The average person who pays taxes works a fourth of the year for free, and our tax dollars aren't even being used to benefit us. This is textbook taxation without representation. 187 likes. Yep, that's a good point. Again, so I'd love to see an infographic of how much of our money is stolen from us and given to other countries, because it'd be probably pretty depressing. So Matt Walsh did, let's say he probably has a 50% approval or 50% and 50% disapproval rating when it comes to the comments section here. And again, I think he has a good point. I mean, if nonprofits and religious institutions want to help those other countries, absolutely. But when it comes to our government tax dollars, and how much other threats, I mean, people dying of ODs in the United States, we have homeless veterans that shouldn't even exist in the United States. So I just think we got to stop reeling in all the spending that has no direct impact to help the average American. But let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, trying to get to 6,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so click that button. I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or a comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone, everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.